to Global show, we had a slightly different format in the sense that my brother joined me and we spoke about how it was to grow up with a mother as an alcoholic and how that affected our lives and how that played out. And it was a really interesting perspective to have a relationship of that nature on the show. So, as always, thanks for watching and I hope you enjoy. Right, so thanks for joining me on the show today.
Yeah.
Just tell me a bit about your story, how you got there.
Yeah, well basically Mum was an alcoholic and I don't know, obviously it was a bit of shit. I'm allowed to swear.
You can do what you want.
Yeah, it wasn't great growing up like that, and at the time I thought it was all alright. We did a bit of Alateen, I think it's called, when you're younger. Didn't really get on with that because most people, I know we went to Al-Anon when we were still young and didn't really get on with that because everyone was too old for us. And then smoked a lot of weed to try and numb the pain and slowly realised that don't work.
But you said, you went to Alateen, Al-Anon. What was that like?
It was helpful really, but I think I was too immature to deal with the adults sort of telling me there. I think they were very accepting and they were very nice people, and I liked the whole concept and everything like that, but I was a bit young I think. There wasn't an Alateen I don't think at the time, so we had to go for the
how old were you? Just out of interest.
I think about 14, 15 at the time. Might have even been slightly older because I don't know if you're allowed to go when you're that young. But I was still a bit of a child and didn't really want to deal with it either, so it didn't quite work.
You weren't quite ready to go for that experience?
Yeah, it was more because we were told that would help and we thought we'd see.
Yeah.
Me and Brad went, our brother.
Yeah, so your parents obviously, like our parents obviously told us to go to Alateen, and you don't think it was necessarily beneficial to go when they said, but better to deal with it in your own time when you were ready.
Yeah, I think like a lot of problems, like people can push you, and I understand that they were trying to help, but people can push all they want, but if you're not ready to do it, then it doesn't work. Same as someone can tell you're an addict, but until you believe that you're an addict, it doesn't matter, they can tell you as much as they want, it's not going to change anything.
Yeah, it's just falling on deaf ears.
Yeah, that's it.
And when do you think you were ready? Was it like a process of like, now I'm ready, or?
Yeah, I don't know. Even now, I haven't been for years, and I mean it might be beneficial, but I feel like I might have got past it. I don't know if I have, but I don't think it negatively affects me. I mean, I've had counselling and things like that, and I don't break down. I was expecting when I stopped smoking weed to just be a crying mess on the floor when all my emotions hit me, but that didn't seem to happen, and seem to have got over it. Either that or I've repressed it. I don't know which one's happened. One of the two.
Okay. And you said it was like a bit shitty growing up like that.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Just things like, I don't know, like once I remember walking down the road with our mum. You were there, but you're probably too young to remember. And she fell into a bush, and we had to like pick her up and carry her home because she was too drunk to walk. And just things like that. Just her seeing her slowly deteriorate and eventually kill herself. But we just used to find empty bottles of vodka around when she was telling us she wasn't drinking and things like that. It was just quite hard to see your mum do that to herself.
And how did it feel to like have her lie to you at the time?
Well, I think that was when we first knew that there was sort of no coming back. It wasn't really mum anymore because she'd never lied to us when we were younger, that we knew of. And once we found out she was lying about still drinking, then it was sort of like, oh, it's serious, there's a problem, definitely.
Well, because she was lying to you, and in your perception, your mum shouldn't lie to you.
Yeah, and she'd always put us first in my eyes, and always thought of us before herself. And then suddenly she was lying and being sneaky, and she'd have random things like she'd have just a normal bottle of Coke, what we thought, and it would have vodka in it and things like that. It was just, like I say, hard to see your mum do that to herself.
Like you were saying, mum sort of started lying to us, and that's when I was just going to ask, is that the point when you realised that suddenly she didn't put us first anymore, and that alcohol took over, and that's what she put first?
Yeah. When I realised that it wasn't her control basically, because she kept saying she'd never drink again, and I honestly believe she tried and she thought that, but the alcohol had already taken over by then. And I believe with a lot of people, you get to a point and it's almost impossible to get past that. You can get back from it, but you need a lot of willpower. And she went to the Priory and places to get her clean, and I just think because I don't think she ever fully admitted that she was an addict. I think she just kind of did it to get everyone to leave her alone, and then that's never going to help. Again, everyone was telling her she's an addict, but she didn't believe it, so it would never help her. She had to come to that realisation herself.
Once she almost wasn't ready to overcome her own addiction in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I'm as sad as it is, I guess some people just aren't supposed to. I don't know if that's a very depressing way to look at it, but I don't know. She had all the help she could, and it didn't help. So maybe it was just meant to be.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different paths for a lot of different people in life, and sometimes, at some points, the best option is for them to die. I know that may sound sad or, like you say, depressing, but I think that's sometimes the reality. Yeah. And we have to almost own that as well, and find gratitude in it.
Yeah, well, even though, I obviously didn't want my mum to die, the last, I think it was a year or two that I remember, she was in and out of hospital, she was always ill, always in a hard way, and it kind of put her out of her misery. It wasn't a nice life to live. And I think, in a way, if you're not going to, as harsh as it sounds, if you're not going to get better and you're going to keep being in pain the whole time, sometimes it might be better for that person to let go. I think that's what she did in the end. She just didn't want to fight anymore, so her body just let go.
Yeah, I think I've spoken on episodes before about almost like this fighting the addiction, and like you say, she was fighting the addiction so much it was almost nice. She almost found her serenity through dying, if you like. Maybe that was her path. Not that I believe in God or I'm religious or anything like that, but maybe that was her serenity, and her peace was finally just letting go. Yeah,
maybe she thought that was the only way for her to beat the addiction, was to let herself go, like you say, and be peaceful.
Yeah, and you said about when it came to the end, she was in hospital for like a few weeks and stuff. Yeah. How did you feel about going to see her or not going to see her? What was that decision like for you?
Well, it was quite hard, but again, I was quite young, so in a way that made it harder because I didn't know if I'd regret it forever. But I didn't go and see her because she was on the machine, she wasn't conscious, and in my eyes, there was no reason for me to go. It would just upset me. And my last memory of my mum was before we went away. She said, "Have a great time, bring me back loads of photos, can't wait to see you." I would much rather see that than her in the hospital bed with tubes coming out of her. Yeah. That wasn't my mum, in my opinion. If she would have been awake, I would have gone to see her, but she was already gone, really.
Yeah, so you decided to maintain that good memory, and you don't regret it now?
No, 10 or however long, 15 years almost later, I think I made the right choice.
So how do you feel like you are now, sitting here today?
I think it's helped, well, in a way, because of the weed that I was saying I'd never be an alcoholic, and somehow that made me be addicted to weed. I don't know, I thought that was a different thing, and I thought that I'd never be an addict, but I've learned that I've got an addictive personality as well, and I just feel like you have to be careful and make sure you don't do the wrong things. Basically try and keep an eye on yourself.
Yeah, I think sometimes we run from things like, I'm never going to be like my mum, I'm never going to be an alcoholic, and then you turn around and look in the mirror and you're no better. You smoke weed every day and you just didn't see it. This thing that you feed so much was almost your shadow. It was just right behind you the whole time, and you were blind to it.
Yeah, and just because it was a different label, weed addict, instead of drinking, you think that you're better or you're not an addict, but you're just the same, like you say.
And it's still the same process. You're still in denial. I'm not an addict, I just smoke weed, or however you decide to process it.
And I had all the addictive things like that, and I just do it because I want to, because I have fun, and which is what they all say.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't have to, I do it because I want to. It's the same thing a lot of the time.
And what would you say got you through those stages that mum never achieved, if you like?
I think a lot, well, in a way, I've always felt that I kind of feel like I have to live extra because she had a short life and she'd want us to have a good life. And my support network's good. You help me a lot with all the personal development and things like that. Counselling helps a lot as well. Definitely meditation and yoga as well helps. Just sort of get the peace of mind and learn to let things go. All of that helps a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I always remind myself, and I've told myself in some of my own dark days that, you know, her life was never the example, it was her death that was the lesson.
Yeah, wise words.
Yeah, and I'd always just say that mantra to myself to give me strength and just to remind myself, that wasn't the way.
But then, to an extent, her life was the lesson, in a way, lesson of how not to live. It was an example of what poor choices can do to your life. And even when you've got 3 boys and a loving husband, sometimes it's just not enough. Yeah, it's quite... don't normally think about it this deep. It's quite strange.
Yeah. But how do you feel like it's affected you emotionally through this journey?
Well, at first I thought it hadn't, and I didn't realise at the time, but me smoking weed to numb the pain in my eyes wasn't why I did it, because I started off just doing it with friends, and then probably 10 years or so I didn't realise, and then coming towards the end of smoking it I realised that every time I got sad I smoked more, so it was kind of like that was why. And then a lot of the time I was similar to most addicts, I was then more sad because I got stoned and didn't do the things I wanted to do, so it was just a cycle of being sad and smoking because I'm sad, and being sad because I smoke, and then there's only one way of getting out of it.
Yeah.
And I just felt I was in a rut and felt that I had to do something to change that.
Yeah, it's almost like we're so self-critical and put ourselves down so much to the point where we use a drug and then it's almost like, I use that drug so I can self-criticise more. And it's almost it becomes the fuel on the fire of self-criticism. Like you say, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's weird, and you don't see it, you're blind to it. You think, oh, this is helping me, but it's actually the thing that you think is helping you is making it worse. And it's the main cause of all the problems. You need to face your fears and face your problems. You don't run. It doesn't seem to work. And I don't think it helped that our dad's men don't have feelings, and so we were always brought up like that. It may work for him, and he doesn't mean it in a negative way, but we were always taught when men we're hard, we don't cry, we don't have feelings, we don't do that. So it was I think that's why I've never dealt with them properly, because I just thought, no, we just push them down and they'll go away.
They don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah, they don't go away.
They're still there.
But you said you were blind to your own behaviour. How did you learn to sing?
I think a lot of it was, I don't know, just over time, because I still think I had a good life, like I was a snowboarding instructor, travelling, doing exactly what I wanted to do, but then, I don't know, my personal life and my mindset was just not getting any better. I should have been the happiest person alive, doing exactly what I wanted, and a lot of the time I was, but I just wasn't living to my potential. I could have done more, and I found out after years that it was the weed that was holding me back. I'm not saying I'm the best person ever now, but I just feel better, and every day I wake up and I know what's going on. I don't feel like I've just been hit around the head with a baseball bat and trying to spend half the day to figure out what's going on, and then you're already stoned by then, so you don't know. Just can't think about anything. It's not a good way to live. And that felt normal, which is scary now to look at.
And you said, like our dad said, we don't have emotions, hide your emotions. Do you think that was obviously the direct correlation between smoking weed and not having emotions and hiding from them?
I think to an extent, yeah. Like I said, I don't think I ever associated the two together, but I just think not facing my emotions and smoking weed happened to sort of help each other. I didn't realise, but then after a while I realised that I'd smoke when I was sad, so it was making it a lot worse. So I definitely realised after time that they did work together, or against me, basically, but I didn't realise at first that that's what was causing it. Like I say, I thought that was my medicine. I thought, oh, this is making it all better, and it does temporarily, and then it comes and all hits you again later on. like with a lot of addicts, you're using it to run away from the problem.
Yeah.
That's why I find it hard not to judge people now, because I've got through my battle, and I kind of think I find it hard not to look at people that are weak, but I try to remember when I was in their shoes and how it was to not even know that you were an addict. So they're not doing anything wrong really, they just don't know. They need to shine that light on there. They need to come to the realisation themselves, a lot of people.
And like I say, yeah, how did you come to that realisation?
Yeah, it was just over years of doing the wrong thing and wanting more out of life. I don't know, I often think that people just need to be strong-willed. My will to progress in life was higher than my need for smoking. I just almost got to a point where I realised it wasn't doing any good for me. And I even struggled getting off because I'd all my friends smoking and all that, so I stopped for a while, and then I'd think, oh no, it's alright, I'll just do it. And then in the end it was giving me negative feelings, so I realised that what a bad effect it had. And I'd feel like crap the next day, all day, whereas that used to feel normal, and now it just is a big shock. It feels really strange. So yeah, sort of weaning myself off helped a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it's like you dig this hole down really deep, and then you start to get to the point where you can't even see the top anymore. And a lot of the times I'd almost feel like in my own I've dug my own grave and I'm hanging in the last few nails, and that's it, you know, I'm gone, because I'm so deep, like in this hole of addiction. But then I'd always remind myself, you know, Luke, you haven't been buried, you've been planted, and you have so much potential in you to grow and like come out the soil. You know, you're not buried, and yeah, it's just the understanding and realisation of that potential. I don't know, that just gave me hope, that made me, in this hole that I dug, see the light at the top and think, if I can start filling this back in. And it's a slow process, and like you say, sometimes we relapse a few times and it takes time to overcome this, but eventually, yeah, it's possible to climb out, and slowly the light at the top gets bigger and bigger, and we start to climb our way out. But I think it's about, I don't know, managing this balance, or I don't know, understanding that you can get out.
Well, I think a lot of the personal development we've been into helps a lot, where it's trying to use the negative things that have happened to you rather than say, oh, that's happened, so give up on life because I've had a hard life. Go, oh, how can I use that in a positive? I'm now emotionally stronger. I'm a better person for that, even though at the time it hurts and feels horrible. Try and use that to your advantage rather than give up and be like a victim, rather than say, oh, the world's against me. Try and say, right, well, this is just a lesson or a test, and now I need to get past that and be a better person for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, personal development as well, that did help a lot. And meditation, I'd recommend that to people. It's also, I used to get angry when I was younger, and I was quite horrible to a lot of people. And at the time I didn't see it, but that was a lot to do with, I almost, felt like my mum had left me, so I was allowed to do what I wanted.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were quite young when it happened, and you said Dad didn't really teach us to show our emotions. So I wondered how that little kid, feeling so sad from the loss of, our mum, how he dealt with that.
Yeah, well, I didn't, at the time, I just thought, because I didn't have emotions, I thought I'm fine, but looking back I was horrible to a lot of people. You got the brunt of it sometimes. I think we both took it out on each other sometimes because we didn't know, or because we apparently didn't have emotions, we didn't know how to let it out properly, so we used to fight and cause trouble, which guys do a lot, but I think we did it more because we missed our mum and we didn't know how to tell people that we didn't think we were supposed to.
Yeah, like you say, it's almost if that kind of behaviour is shrugged off, boys will be boys, they're three boys, they fight. But at the same time, it's like we weren't given permission to be sad, and then that caused us to be angry,
Yeah.
It's like in society, men aren't allowed to be sad, that's weak, or that's, kind of vulnerable. But you're allowed to be angry, you're allowed to fight people, like I say, boys will be boys.
That's normal for guys to do that.
Just go and punch it out, guys.
But girls cry, that's what you're told, isn't it?
Yeah.
Girls are the ones that get sad, whereas that's why it's good that nowadays the stigma of men being hard is sort of going a bit. Men are allowed to be emotional now, because we're all human beings, we all have emotions. And yeah, it might be good to be tough, but men cry too. And I think also without him meaning to, like because your dad's always your hero, we sort of didn't want to show him that we were weak because we thought, I don't know, again, like approval for, what's it called, like love, like unconditional love. We've got unconditional love from our dad, but we almost see it as conditional, where you're told, oh, you've done that wrong, you're bad. We sort of, even though he never told us that we were weak because we were emotional, we thought that he would think less of us, maybe. I thought that. So we'd just fight instead, because that makes you strong, even though it's the complete wrong thing to do.
Yeah, it's almost as if the condition, like, for his love was to not show love.
Yeah. Again, I don't think he ever meant to be like that, but I think that's how it come across to us. And because we were too young to understand. Yeah, that's just how it came out.
And also he wasn't allowed to necessarily express his pain either, because he was the dad, he was strong, and he must have been going through a lot. That was his wife. He had 3 kids with her. That must have been extremely hard. But it's almost as if like we were like this group of men all trying to be manly.
Yeah.
When all we really wanted to do is just dead it all out.
Yeah, you just want to hug, but you've got to be hard and fight people instead.
You get a punch in the arm instead.
Yeah, exactly. Stop being a wuss, puncher. Yeah. That's what happens instead of getting a hug. Yeah, a lot of it was because we thought we weren't allowed to show it, but yeah, I think we were all in the same boat, because I think his family were the same. Men, or we know for a fact, our granddad says men don't have emotions. If you say so, but we definitely do. And yeah, I think that's changing now, but that's how it's always been over the years, and even slightly still now.
And how do you feel now being able to experience like your full range of emotions, or how do you feel your emotional intelligence is now, from going back from where you were then to being the kid that, like I say, had to express anger instead of sadness? How do you feel like you are now? What stage are you at, if you want to put it in stages?
Yeah, well again, I don't know, it's hard to like judge or give yourself a level, but I definitely think my emotional maturity is a lot higher, and again, a lot of that's down to meditation, because it's, even now I still lose my temper, I still have sad thoughts, but it kind of has taught me to notice when I'm doing that and like let things go, and realise that it's not the end of the world, because it doesn't help you to be sad and angry for no reason all the time, so you just kind of need to learn to deal with those emotions and find the trigger and try not to do that.
But how do you feel like sitting with an emotion like sadness or anger now?
I don't know, I still find it kind of hard to sort of access those emotions. And I even said to my counsellor, she said about, when you feel sad about your mum, you should sit with that. And I said to her, it's like banging your head against the wall, you know it's going to hurt, so why would you keep doing it? Like, I kind of still see it as counterproductive. Like every now and then I will think about mum, but I try not to, like a lot of people celebrate the day that someone died. In my opinion, that's a stupid thing to celebrate. Not celebrate, but remember that day. That's the day my mum died was the worst day of my life. Why would I want to remember that? Like, so to me, that might be part of me shutting my emotions down, but I just don't think that is something to remember. Like, I try and remember the good things that happened with mum. I don't try and remember that she killed herself and that she was really ill and all that. I try and remember the nice mum that was happy and used to take us riding horses, and she was a great mum when we were younger. I don't want to remember the sad bits, I want to remember the goodness. But I still find it hard, going back to what you said, to sit with emotions. I try, but I'm sort of borderline coming out of this repressive stage where I can access them a little bit, but they're not always there when I want them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, we shouldn't dwell on our emotions, like you say, sit there and, like, I don't know, flick through a book sobbing of memories of mum necessarily, but I think emotional intelligence is about recognising the emotion and not suppressing it and allowing it to exist in that moment and say, right, I'm feeling sadness or I'm feeling anger, that's okay, and just allowing it to exist, not pushing it away, hiding from it, or making a joke and trying to like change your mood really quickly so that you're not in that emotion, but being able to sit with it and enjoy it.
Yeah, I do try and do that. Like a little while ago, someone was in the town playing the song that was at our mum's funeral when we left, and I sort of heard that, and usually I'd walk away and smoke a joint and forget, whereas like I tried to sort of sit and think, as much as I don't believe in the afterlife, it's almost a sign, and just be happy and remember the goodness of mum. I did sit there and kind of take that in rather than forget about it and get angry and sad. Kind of tried to see it as a nice thing and sit with that emotion. Even though it did make me a little bit sad, it was kind of a nice little reminder of mum.
Yeah.
And it was good to sit with that.
Yeah, it's really nice. But yeah, we're coming to the end now. But I guess I just have to say that, yeah, I think she'd be really proud.
Yeah, I hope she would. I'd like to try and make her as proud as I can. And like I say, sort of live on what I think she'd like me to do. And yeah, try my best to make her proud, like you say. And hope it's working.
Yeah, thanks very much for coming.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime.